Welcome to Roost News, the place for all things volunteer. I'm Louise Gallagher, a team member for the Roost News. Thank you, Roger and Lisa, for being our guests on the Roost News podcast today to share your successful Tennessee volunteer onboarding process created by your volunteer support team. Um, Before we begin the onboarding, in a few sentences, could you share, Lisa, maybe you first, um, why you work for AARP and why you volunteer for AARP, Roger, as well as how long you've been in your respective positions with AARP?
Sure, and thank you all for having us. And we are really excited to be here today and share with other states and volunteers the process. I have been with AARP since 2006. I started in the Washington, D.C. headquarters, and I was supporting state offices at that time. And Tennessee was one of the states I supported. So after about 7 years, they invited us to volunteer, and my husband and I came to a NASCAR race. So we picked up and moved to Tennessee, and we have been in Tennessee since 2011. So about 19 years with AARP.
And how about you, Roger?
I've been a volunteer for 9 years.
Hmm.
When I retired, I made my main job to stay healthy, and I joined my local YMCA and I try to work out there every day. But I also wanted to give back to the community. And AARP, without any question, is the premier organization that helps seniors in our country. And I thought it was a great place to volunteer. Um, and I realized that as we get older, and I'm a senior, and we have issues. Some of us have health issues, and some seniors are susceptible to fraud and other types of issues. And I thought by volunteering, I could make a difference. And that's why I'm here.
Well, we're delighted to have both of you, of course. That's wonderful. And thank you for all that information and your background. I'm sure the audiences for the Roostbot podcast and AARP staff and AR volunteers enjoy listening to the stories and your own background and personal experience. So let's go ahead and begin our conversation on the onboarding in the state of Tennessee. When AARP state offices use the term onboarding, what is meant by onboarding of volunteers? What's the purpose of it? And what makes it so important to have an onboarding process and plan that actually works for volunteers?
When we talk about onboarding in Tennessee, we're really talking about the entire process from the time a person makes a decision to consider being a prospect or a volunteer, all the way through the process that we will discuss today till they actually become a volunteer in Tennessee. Um, we wanted to have a consistent process across our entire state. And with AARP being a huge organization, but made up mostly of volunteers, we wanted to design a process that is easy for everyone, and it's understandable, and it's very consistent across the state of Tennessee. Lisa and I, quite some time ago, designed this process. It is I call it an organized process that would be helpful not only to our community outreach directors, but also to the person who wants to become a volunteer. With so many people spread out across, and we're a very big state, we don't always get together to see each other. We wanted this process, as I said, to be easy, to keep everyone in the loop, and by a consistent process, we can all be on the same page and know where we are. And because of this, I believe we have developed some really excellent volunteers and leaders who've come from our volunteers.
And with that said, what I wanted to add in this question was, whenever we talk about onboarding, I think that since this is the audience for staff and volunteers, I just wanted to kind of mention that with Tennessee, there are were set up in the regions. So there are multiple teams that are volunteer onboarding process. We cover everyone in the state. So we are covering the engagement outreach ASDs and also advocacy and communications, as well as our newly started program, Speakers Bureau. So this allowed each of the directors that are out there in the field to know that they could come back to like a 1, 2, 3 step process when they're meeting people out in the public, or they find someone that wants to volunteer. And then that way it's all streamlined and everyone knows who to come to, what to do, and what to expect.
So I understand you have a 3-step plan. Can you share what your 3-step plan covers with us?
I'll take you through the 3-step plan, and Lisa will probably explain it even better when I'm done. But step 1 is really the initial contact where someone decides that they want to become a volunteer. And they communicate maybe through our national office or through our Tennessee website. And I get it mostly from the prospect report, which I look at multiple times during the week. That's the main place I see who wants to be a volunteer. But there are other areas. There are e-blasts that we send out, maybe for a particular position that somebody's responding to. We do a lot of C-events here in Tennessee, such as movies for grown-ups. And one of the unique things that I think we do is the C-event list of people who signed up shows up on our prospect report. So what we do is we send an email to every one of those people and just inquire, would you be interested in volunteering? And it's another source of finding potential prospects. As I said, we also have the Tennessee website for AARP, and word of mouth is another way that we find people. But once someone is a potential volunteer, step 1 collects their basic information, name, phone number, address, email address, so forth. And with that information, we can put them in the portal to get the process started. And I will start out at the end of step 1 by contacting the person, mostly by email, sometimes by phone, and setting up a phone call discussion with them as the first step. And that really takes us into step 2, which is the screening process. And I think I do most of that in Tennessee. And
He does all of that.
Just being kind. And what I try to do when I talk to these people is I introduce myself. I try to tell them that this is just going to be a brief, casual conversation. But what I'd like to do first is take them through some of the major programs that AARP is doing. I find that most people I talk to don't realize the length and breadth of AARP and what we get involved in. And I will take them through Fraud Watch Network, which is a major program, age-friendly communities, and a number of others, right down to our newest and I think our most exciting, which Lisa mentioned, which is Speakers Bureau, which is a great new program. But during this conversation, after that, I'd let the person talk. I want to know their history. I want to know what they've done. I want to know where their interests are, where their priorities are. And I'm recording this as part of our step 2 on a piece of paper that I will take into step 3, that's sending it out to our community outreach directors and their leaders to actually set up a time to interview people that we are recommending from the VST staff. Now, I will say, and as part of this, we give our community outreach directors 10 days to contact the person. And I would say our history is that this is almost always done within the 10-day period. But on the rare exception that somebody isn't contacted, and Lisa and I keep track of this, we send out an ever so sweet email reminding them to contact an individual person.
Oh, I like that.
A little humor in there.
Yeah. And that's one thing. It's so great to have Roger being able to, like keep an eye on that. We have a tracking report that we keep, and he's able to see, and we've aligned the onboarding process with the days of where we felt it was important for us to make sure that the Tennessee State Office connected with someone within 3 days of the time that they said, yes, I want to be a volunteer or just interested. So we know a lot of times volunteers have a lot of different options to choose from. So once we started it, you could really tell and see a response that not everyone responds, and that's okay. You know, through all of this, we evolve and we set up little like kind of tactics that help us to keep everything as streamlined as possible. And what our process does is it also allows the community outreach directors to be out in the communities doing their jobs. Before, they were making all the calls, you know. So this has just really been a great thing for the Tennessee State Office, and we're here to support that always, and to make sure that if they're out of the office, you know, or maybe not, it's that he's following up with them. And another tip that I wanted to share for other states that hear this is Roger did a great job of just the messages that he first started using via email. I mean, that's like a boiler template that's used. And so there's an email template. He doesn't have to rethink anything each time. It's the same emails. Everyone sees the same things. They know what to expect. And I think that that's helped really keep things moving for the team.
Mm. Such a well-organized process. And the part that really strikes me is the social engagement by you personally and the state director, that it's so important and it's so nice for volunteers, I think. Do you find that
Oh,
as
yes.
well?
Yes,
That,
we really do. And
yeah.
when we get into a couple of other questions today, I really want to share ways that we are keeping our volunteers engaged. So, but I'll get to that after a while. But that was one of and I know it's hard for state offices with so many things going on. You know, you cannot always keep calling people back, you know. That takes time. So in order to also keep the volunteer portal database up to date and keep a hygiene of the records, it's like we have it written down in the steps that he tries 2 times for outreach within so many days. And if we don't hear back, then we know and we feel okay that we can then, you know, update that record and move on and keep going with the prospects that are interested.
I think I'd add also that Lisa touched on the tracking report. Behind our onboarding process, we keep a tracking report and we put everyone's name and key information, but then every step along the way, when we send out portal access notification, when we send a recommendation to our community outreach directors, we follow the process. We follow the process and we keep the process moving along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Boy, great commitment, great commitment. Thank you. What a great program you shared. How long did it take you to get to the point where you're at now, from kind of when you had the idea of this for the onboarding process to where you are now?
We were thinking about that, and I'll go ahead and let you start with that one.
Well, we started the process over 7 years ago, and we knew in the beginning that it was going to be a living process, that we were going to have to make changes.
Mm-hmm.
And we certainly have made a lot of changes along the way to improve it, to keep it easy and organized, as I said in the beginning. And I think the biggest changes that we've made in the last few years all deal with the portal. Because volunteers coming on board now, we want them to be comfortable with the portal. We want it to be easy to navigate. The portal has tip sheets for particular projects that maybe somebody's working on. The tip sheet will take them step by step right through it. And if we can get people comfortable with the portal, There's so much in there that they can learn from. It's really a big plus.
Yeah. And it seems like you're, as you say, it's a live, ongoing process. And so you're constantly kind of evaluating and making changes for the better based on the feedback that you get and what you're noticing because you're tracking all the reports and the information and your volunteers. Sounds great. Thank you. Um, let's talk a little bit about best practices. What best practices do you use to keep your volunteers engaged once they have successfully onboarded as a volunteer with AARP?
We've been excited because we have recently, and when there was COVID, a lot of things changed. So we very quickly, I'm impressed with how quickly AARP pivoted during that time, turned our in-person world into that digital and virtual world. So at that same time, we also, which is now considered a best practice for us, is we used to send out welcome packets. So we feel that the welcome package that we have now, which is all digital, includes the welcome letter. It includes, lets them know that they've been granted access to the portal. And he had mentioned OVE's helpful tip sheets. We also include those, and a couple new things in the past year or so that we started including is that we now, because of all the great support and resources that the Office of Volunteer Engagement has, we actually connect every new volunteer in our welcome letter and let them know that they will be contacted soon from an Office of Volunteer Engagement volunteer that's on the fast track team and the tech training team. And we're lucky that we have two of them in Tennessee. So that helped. It just felt right. And so not only are they coming in and seeing what we're doing, we're also introducing them to their team here in Tennessee. We want them to know right away that there is all of these other things, like they can get Zoom trainings, and we really recommend the fast track training because we feel it's a wonderful way, because AARP is such a large organization, that it allows you to see all the different division, all the different things that we have going on in all the different works and departments. So that has been really good. And another best practice that we've started would be we've started a Tennessee Portal Power Hour, because we know that not everyone is on the portal unless they need to submit an expense, but we want them to not miss out on all of the information that's out there and the resources that they can use in their communities, being the face of AARP. So we started that and have it every month, and it's an open kind of line to where they can come in, staff can come in, and we give demonstrations or we share any kind of new information that was recently added to the portal, because especially being new, there's so much information. We always try to keep things keep them informed with what's new, what's most helpful for them to be successful in what they're doing, but also what, if they have other interests, to always let us know. If they see something, to reach out to us. That's what we're here for and can help with that. But the tip sheets have been wonderful, and these power hours have been great because we've left it as a casual thing where you come in, you pop in, you ask a question, and the part of the volunteer support team that Roger and I lead is we also now we formed the volunteer portal tech team. So those are like our tech portal champions, who are actually the portal champions for the state of Tennessee, the volunteer leaders. So that has been wonderful because they highlight new things that's going on. And we always pick two features that, and it's been great because the outreach directors even will let us know, hey, we've had some questions from some volunteers, a couple volunteers at meetings about such and such. So they get that information to us, and I feel like it helps that volunteer know, like, or I hope it helps them know, like, we're a family and we stay connected. And hey, we heard you, need help with this. Let's show you how to do that. So that's been really great to do that.
It sounds so nice because it's very bi-directional. You're responsive to your volunteers and you engage them, and you're also networking with the state, people at the state level too,
Right, right.
which is so wonderful. It's like a great team approach to it. I love it. It sounds great. Um, so, as we bring the podcast to a close, is there anything else you want to share about Tennessee's onboarding process of volunteers?
I guess I'd share two things. One is something that we are very proud of. We've been doing this, as I said, for 7+ years. Every person that we've recommended to our community outreach directors and our leaders has become a volunteer. We've never had anyone sent back saying, we don't think this person is right. We have a track record that I think Lisa and I are very, very proud of.
Yes.
And I'd make one other comment in summation of my comments, I guess. This is a organized, simple, hopefully easy 3-step process. Yes, we have it on paper, and yes, we send out things to our community outreach director to give them the information. And it works. It works very well, and our success rate is very good. But I think one of the reasons it works exceptionally well here in Tennessee is sitting on my left, and that is Lisa, who didn't know I was going to say this. She has many areas that she assists a wonderful Tennessee office that we have here. And she helps them with so many things and is involved in so many projects. She's our contact with OVE. She's our portal expert, but yet she always has time to work with me on onboarding, whether it be in person, on the phone, by email, whatever. And I think it's this relationship that is that extra plus that has made this work so well in Tennessee.
Thank you. That was very kind of him. And I think it also, it just shows the partnership that we have, because I could never keep up with all of the many things, but I know, like, I trust, he's trusted. He's always, and with the track record of, not even, we didn't have a count put together, but many of them have become state directors that have came through the onboarding process. So we're just very proud to have that tenure of people staying with us. And it also lets me know that Roger's doing the right thing, because he is the first introduction. He's your first introductions mean everything, a lot of people say. And for the continued excellent and the caliber of volunteers that he recommends and that join the team, it's what makes Tennessee such a powerful, like, volunteer organization, like, across the whole state. And I think us all being closely working together has made a huge difference. And I couldn't do what I do without him. We couldn't do what we do without all of our volunteers. So I'm just very appreciative of all of that.
Yeah, I think the first impression, you're right. It's really nice when you get that kind of engagement. So really, Roger and Lisa, I just appreciate hearing about it and knowing that, it's nice to know. And you have such passion. It's obvious your passion, and that is communicated, I think, in everything you do. And you have good follow up and great follow through. It's like nobody gets left behind. And if they leave themselves behind, but it's because of you, your team, your communication, and your commitment to this, and your belief and value of AARP and what we all do for our communities. So just thank you so much for today. It's been wonderful wonderful hearing from you and about your program, and what you're doing is wonderful. So I appreciate that. And so, to our staff and volunteers, we encourage all of you to subscribe to our Roost News podcast channel on YouTube, and or listen to the audio versions on your favorite platform. And of course, please invite your colleagues to join us too. On behalf of the Roost News podcast team, thank you, Lisa and Roger, and thank you all of you in our audience.
Thank you
Thank
for having us.